Every October, Ciudad de Mexico, or Mexico City, is completely transformed. As the Day of the Dead celebrations begin, this bustling metropolis becomes covered in festive decorations and offers some truly unique experiences. This multi-day event is often described as a Mexican Halloween, but it encompasses much more than just dressing up. It involves family and friends gathering to pray for and remember those who have passed on. In Mexican culture, death is viewed as a natural part of the human cycle. This fun and cathartic event occurs every year from late October through early November. This week, take an adventure with me, Robbie Frank, and my brother Brandon as we explore CDMX. From watching the Luchadores battle it out in the ring, to exploring ancient castles and ruins, Mexico City is full of surprises.
Hey guys, what's up? Bienvenidos a la Ciudad de Mexico. I'm here with my brother Brandon.
What's up, guys?
This week we are exploring Mexico, and we're actually going to be here on November 2nd, but today we're going to be checking out the Frida Kahlo Museum.
This is pan de muerto. It's a sweet bread that they make only during the Dia de los Muertos celebrations. It starts sometime around October and goes until the 2nd of November, which is the last day of Dia de los Muertos. I'm excited to try. Let's see how it is.
Is it really good?
That's really freaking good. It's really sweet, but it's really good.
It kind of reminds me a little bit of like funnel cake, but not fried.
Yeah, exactly. It's a lighter,
Because you can see all the sugar here.
So we just left the Frida Kahlo Museum. It not only is a beautiful, beautiful house, it was the house that she grew up in. She was born in 1907, and at the age of 18, she was in a very serious accident, would never be the same, would always have braces for the rest of her life, but pursued her career in art. She was a rebel. She'd wear what she wanted. She was the type of person she wanted to be, and you see that really reflected in her art.
Blown away by the museum in general, and I think one of the things that I didn't realize as much was she was this famous painter, of course, but like how much suffering she had in her life.
Yeah.
She had polio early on in her life. She had this terrible accident. I think the guide said that she had over 30 surgeries in her life to try to correct these things. Through the surgeries, she got addicted to morphine. A lot of suffering in her life, and she, expressed herself and the suffering through her work. I think another thing that struck me was just how loyal that she was to Mexico. She wanted to prove that Mexico was this gem in terms of the art scene and had so much to offer. At the time, what was really revered was European art, even in the United States as well. And so really to try to bring pride and to be famous in her own country meant a lot to her. And I think that's something that was really admirable.
So she married a photographer and a painter named Diego Rivera. He was actually 22 years older than her when they married. He was 42 and she was 22, but she knew from the moment she saw him when she was still in school that she wanted to marry him. For a long time, she lived in his shadow. She was known as Diego's wife, and it was only when she eventually came to America and had a gallery there that she started to gain more and more traction, would later do galleries in Paris as well. But she was always upset that she wasn't famous in her home country of Mexico. And it was only just before she died, about a year before she died, that she got to finally do a gallery here in Mexico. She'd later become much more famous when Madonna do a tour that featured her fashion and her art style.
The other thing that was really interesting was to hear about her personality. Our guide said that they used to throw parties all the time, Diego Rivera and Frida Kahlo. People would come because Diego invited them, but they would stay because of Frida's personality. She definitely was very fiery. There's a lot of photos and paintings that she made, and if she got a bad review or something, there was one where she created this cut in the actual painting, but it's left like that because that's part of the experience as well.
Yeah, it was actually one of her mentors, and he had said, it's not even worth a penny. And you can actually still see in the canvas this scratch from that. Diego had affairs with other women in his life, and so there's a painting of their family where she painted out her sister's face.
Scratched her face out, yeah.
You're dead to me.
Not shy with how she was feeling.
But I think that authenticity, that realness, that willingness to express her suffering through her art is part of why she became this famous artist.
Early 1900s, and she was bisexual.
And polyamorous.
Yeah, polyamorous, very strongly opinionated, and to be a woman at that time and have all those characteristics was very rare.
I'm so excited! We're gonna head over to Arena Mexico, or the Mexican arena, and we're gonna watch the Luchadores fight each other. So this is something I definitely was super excited to check out. It's called Lucha Libre, or kind of freestyle fighting. So I'm pumped.
It is everything you would hope it would be. Theatrical, over the top, men wearing very, very tight pants, and ridiculous names and outfits.
Yeah, I'm expecting it to be like WWE on crack. All right, so we just got inside Arena Mexico, and we're just waiting for the show to start. So there's only one thing to do. Vamos! Wait. Vamos! It's the best one out there.
Hey everyone, we're here in El Bosque de Chapultepec. It's the largest park in Ciudad de Mexico.
So imagine the Central Park of Mexico City. It's like that.
In fact, it's twice the size by area of Central Park. So it's a gigantic park. There's two sections, la primera sección and la segunda sección. The second one is more just walk around and to ride bikes. The first one has a bunch of museums, including El Museo de Anthropology, El Castillo de Chapultepec, and maybe a couple more. There's also a zoo. It's gigantic. There's lots to do. One other cool thing you can see behind us, they're getting ready for Dia de los Muertos, which is going to be this Friday starts. But the days leading up to it, every night at 6 o'clock, they've got these walks through the park where there's going to be music and people dressed up, mini celebrations before the actual event.
And we're going to be doing that before we leave, so stay tuned for that. It's going to be a lot of fun. Alright guys, right now we are heading up El Castillo de Chapultepec. It's a little bit of an uphill climb, but you are kind of on top of the whole city, so it's got a really beautiful view. So we just finished up with the castle and it was definitely a lot of fun. It's kind of like seeing the Mexican version of like the Palace of Versailles. It's also a historical museum. Kind of talks about a lot of the different empires that have kind of come in and out of Mexico throughout different periods of time. One tip I would definitely recommend is check your bags. It only costs 10 pesos to check your bags. You can fit about 2 backpacks in there and that's only about 50 cents. So unless you want to lug around the backpack all day, definitely recommend that. So right now we are making fools of ourselves out on a body of water. We're trying not to hit trees and ducks and other wildlife, but it is really, really beautiful. It's just really hard to steer this pedal boat they gave us. But sorry guys, it's nothing personal, we don't know how to drive. I'm really sorry. What's up, bro?
This thing literally makes no sense at all. Like, I understand that the directions are like opposite, so when you pull right, you go left. When you pull left, you go right.
It's a rubber.
But it's like these massive swings back and forth, regardless of if we like don't push it that hard. I don't know, maybe I just suck at this.
I am the captain now, and I don't know how to drive. So we were out there for, I'd say, all of maybe 15 minutes, and we are just sweating. Our recommendation is, if you are going to go on a boat, get the rowboat. It's like 40 more pesos.
I'm just so impressed with how beautiful this park is. Like, Mexico City in a lot of places can be really like bustling and busy, but this is just so peaceful. There's so many places to come here, just take a nap. It's lovely. There's a lake, so many museums. It's like just a great refuge away from the city.
Now, me and Brandon are going to try to find the jump bikes. We're going to rent a bike and do some exploring in the other section of the park. I downloaded the Jump app. We've got this button on the bottom that lets you scan the QR code. And unlock bike. Ah! What do you think?
It's awesome. It's so easy to pedal.
It's like for every one pedal, it gives you like 5.
Yeah.
It's really nice.
Great. Yeah.
And now it's raining.
I don't think it's gonna pour. I think it's gonna be on and off.
Unfortunately, the rain persisted and we only had one bike to share amongst me and Brandon, so he ended up going home while I explored the other side of the park. There's lots of paths to both walk and to ride around. You'll pass a number of museums and even playgrounds scattered around this public space. And while strolling around the park, I actually stumbled upon a skate park and ended up hanging out with some pretty cool skaters. We ended up talking a little bit and bonding over Tony Hawk Pro Skater.
So leading up to Day of the Dead, they have a lot of events. And actually right now, I'm in a quickly moving line to get into an event called Celebrando la Eternidad, or Celebrate the Eternity. You do want to come check this out. I recommend getting here at least 15 to 20 minutes in advance because this line is pretty crazy. When you first get in through the main entrance, they have tons of people dressed up, some really cool costumes. So having explored this park before, I am so impressed with how they've totally transformed it. It's all lit up, and they kind of have these little stations set up every, I would say, quarter of a mile or so. They'll have like a really cool artistic thing set up, and then they'll have like a mariachi band or all sorts of really cool music. Apparently this is the first year that they've done it. It's really cool. So I think I reached the last event, and I think we're heading to the exit. They had this really touching thing at the end. For those who have passed away, you could send a picture. They had the station set up. You could have your lost loved one be projected on this big screen right on the pond. Very powerful. Just, whew. So I just got back outside, and wow, that was an awesome event. It was totally free to attend. I mean, there was a crazy line, so like I said, you get here 20 minutes in advance, but they had art, they had music, and the last station I think was super powerful. This is actually the first year I've ever missed a Halloween, and I'm a little bit sad about that, but this was a great way to spend the day as well. So I was talking to a local before, and he was saying that I'm in Mexico City for really the best time of the year, and I really couldn't agree more. This has been just an awesome experience. Hey guys, day 3 here in Mexico City. I'm here at El Bosque de Chapultepec, and today we're going to be checking out probably Mexico City's most famous museum. It's called El Museo Nacional de Antropología, the National Anthropology Museum. It's got a lot of pre-Columbian historical artifacts, and just heard such great things about it, so let's go. So when I'd heard that term pre-Columbian, I was a little bit confused. I was like, what does Colombia have to do with any of this? And actually it's in reference to Christopher Columbus and essentially European colonization, and how the indigenous people prior to that time period had a thriving culture that was diminished and in a lot of ways even extinguished when the arrival of Columbus and European colonization began. Just left the National Anthropological Museum here in Mexico, and I can definitely see why it is the most popular museum here. It is filled with so many different historical artifacts, and it talks about all the different native populations that made up Mexico prior to Christopher Columbus and the European colonization. And there's just so much cultural richness. There was just so many groups that made up Mexico prior to that happening. What's really cool too is the sections are both indoors and outdoors. So some of the really big sections, they've recreated bits of temples and ruins. They actually recreated the biggest pre-Hispanic city in North America, which was really cool. And you see with each diverse group, their different rituals, their different clothing, their different tools. And I thought it was really, really fascinating. If you are gonna come here, I recommend reserving at least 2 to 3 hours minimum. You probably could spend even a little bit more time if you like to read all the plaques and things. But if you're coming to a museum here in Mexico City, this has gotta be one of them.
Also, just outside the museum, you'll see a traditional ceremony called Danza de los Voladores, or Dance of the Flyers. It's an ancient Mesoamerican ritual, still performed today in parts of Mexico and Guatemala.
5 people climb a 30-meter pole before launching themselves into the air. The flyers are tied to the pole with ropes as they descend to the ground.
Whew. Hey guys, I'm here at Teotihuacan. I had a little bit of an adventure getting here. I actually took an Uber to the wrong location. I took it to the town of Teotihuacan and not the pyramids here. So it was a little bit of an adventure because once I got to the town, it was really hard to get another Uber, and actually it was saying there was like no cars available. It kept saying it'll connect me to a driver, and it wouldn't. So I ended up taking this taxi over from the town of Teotihuacan, and the whole ride over, I was in this taxi, and I swear I thought it was gonna break down the whole time. The windshield was broken. The driver had a wrench in his hand like he was ready for it to break down at any minute. But I'm here. Let's climb the pyramids. Quick break. Because the altitude is really high in this section of Mexico, and the air is really thin, so definitely take your time. Bring a bottle of water. This area was one of the most thriving cities in the region, and then it basically disappeared because by the time the Aztecs showed up, this was all but abandoned, even though it was such a thriving city about 1,000 years before. And now, as you can see, it's been turned into a national park. I think part of the appeal for people that like history is to look around and think about how this place was like so thriving, like this thriving civilization. Now it's just gone, you know? Like a zombie town or something. So right now I'm walking down the Avenue of the Dead. It divides the Pyramid of the Sun from the Pyramid of the Moon. It's about a mile long and it's about to start downpouring. I felt the drops already. So hopefully I can make it to the top before it starts raining. The thing about traveling with my brother Brandon is he's fluent in Spanish, which is great. I'm like conversational. I know enough to like order food and to get people like not to bother me, but that's about it. Well, it's 5 o'clock and they are starting to shoot people out, but I did want to leave you guys with one fun fact. Teotihuacan is the largest pyramids that you can climb, and I think all the world, so pretty cool. You're definitely able to take an Uber to Teotihuacan, but getting back is another situation. I kind of learned that the hard way. I was trying to find an Uber right as it closed. I ended up hopping onto a public bus, which, by the way, was super cheap. I think it was only like 20 or 30 pesos to Terminal del Norte, or the North Terminal. Saved myself about 20 bucks. Whereas just in comparison, to get there, I took an Uber. I think it costed me around 25 or 30 bucks, which is obviously a lot more expensive, but they pick you up right from your place. Overall, it was a lot of fun. Highly recommend it. So where me and Brandon have been staying in Mexico City is a section of the town called Juarez. It's a great spot to grab some food in the morning. We just grabbed some burrito de cochinita. It's kind of like a spicy pulled pork. It's really delicious. Kind of like almost similar to like a barbacoa if you've ever had that. But they give you some limes and some hot sauce to eat it with, and it is just the perfect way to start the morning. The other thing I would say is there are a lot of these juice shops. We got some jugo verde. It's basically they toss in a bunch of greens, including cactus, lettuce, some ginger. But I would say between these two, that's a perfect way to start the morning.
Eso te pone fuerte, ¿eh?
Un poquito.
This is is a nice way to spend our last day here in Mexico City, yeah? Today we are in Xochimilco. It's about 45 minutes south of the city, and it translates to...
In Spanish would be Tierra de los Flores, or like Land of Flowers. We're on one of these boats, which is called a trajinera in Spanish. They're all very, very colorful and beautiful, and it's kind of the place where families go on weekends. They either go to Bosque de Chapultepec, or here in Xochimilco, they'll rent one of these boats and kind of just drink and eat and have a good time. There's vendors who are selling food, and also you can hire like a mariachi band to come on board. So it's a good time all around.
To rent one of these boats, you pay per hour, and you can actually pay by the half hour as well. For 1 hour, it's 500 pesos. Translates to roughly 25 bucks. So not too bad. Is that like a flat cost for the boat?
You rent the boat, and then the more people you have, the cheaper it is. So if you have 10 people in your boat, it's a pretty cheap ride.
Gives me like kind of Venice vibes, very kind of gondola style boat ride down the river. And you were telling me that they actually do kind of like a haunted boat ride at night, right?
They do. You can get tickets for something called La Llorona, which is like the tale of this weeping woman who either her children got drowned or she drowned her children by accident or something like that, and then she like haunts the area.
Me and Brandon actually got to try and do a little rafting ourselves. We tried to steer the boat. I don't know how well we did, but we tried.
Definitely takes a little bit of practice. These guys make it look easy, but the stick is pretty heavy. And
yeah.
Like turning the boat, I think, is a little bit of an adjustment you got to get used to.
Yeah, it's definitely a bigger stick than I expected. It's got to be like 12 feet maybe. But the way you do it is you basically like kind of pull it out of the water. You got to stick it like directly onto the ground, and then you kind of use it almost like a rudder to push you in one direction or the other. During the afternoons, especially on the weekends, this gets super busy, but we came at a pretty tranquil time.
Well, today is the Day of the Dead, November 2nd, and I really wish I had one more day here in Mexico City, but unfortunately, it's time for me to get back to real life. Last night, Brandon and I checked out an awesome event. We made our way down to Paseo La Reforma.
This is amazing. It's so cool.
It's one of the main streets here in Mexico City. Lining the street in either direction were these giant papier-mâché alebrijes. They're kind of like these animals mixed with like mythical creatures, kind of like Spanish folk art. He also had calaveras, which are like these giant painted skulls. And people were dressed up, everyone was having a good time. Everyone went out and partied, and we could just hear music bumping. It was a good time. I honestly wish I had another day. There's cameras set up, there's people ready and waiting for the parade to come through. It seems like it's going to be an awesome event, and I wish I had more time, but unfortunately it's time to get back to real life and my flight is in 2 hours. However, Brandon is going to be here, so this next little bit of footage here is going to be some cell phone footage that Brandon took.